What once seemed a completely unachievable pipe dream for Elite Dangerous has fast become the new normal pattern for the game's cadence. I am of course speaking about a new ship arriving in the game, and Tuesday the 8th of April, next week as I speak these words, will see the ARX Purchase Early Access arrival of the next new ship and the 5th of Frontier's next generation Supercruise Overcharged enabled vessels. I am of course speaking about the Gutamaya Corsair. We made a video covering off the ship's internal module slots last week, but in case you missed it, here's a quick summary of those details. For the core internals you'll find a size 7 power plant, thrusters and distributor. The sensors are size 6, the FSD and fuel tank are both size 5 and life support is a size 4. The ship's optional slots are single sizes 1 to 4 and then 3 size 5 and 3 size 6 slots. Hardpoint wise it has 3 large and 3 medium, and to add to what we knew last week, I can now confirm that the vessel comes with 4 utility slots. Frontier have described the vessel as a successor to the Imperial Clipper and as superior to the Mark I Python, taking all aspects of that venerable multi-role classic and improving on them with greater firepower, cargo capacity and jump range. But you can never really tell what a ship is like until you strap one onto your flight suit and take it out for a burn, and I'm happy to report that as part of the Elite Dangerous Content Creator Partner Program we were this week given access to do just that. Frontier have described the vessel as multi-role, and whilst that isn't inaccurate, it perhaps implies that the ship is good at everything. Like most ships in Elite however, it's more accurate to say that whilst the ship can take on multiple roles, it really excels in some key areas. Sure, the ship has greater jump range than a Python, fully kitted out for combat with no care given to the ship's mass, but with a size 5 FSD booster fitted I managed to get a very respectable 40 light years out of Gutamaya's first ever medium class ship. I'm sure if you strip that down you could get a lot more, but it wouldn't make sense to go exploring in it. You can also eat a bowl of cornflakes with a penknife, but when spoons exist, really, why would you? The ship's handling and combat capability absolutely leads it down a specific path, and I'll come on to that in a moment, but the less than subtle moniker gifted to the ship by its manufacturers should be telling you where the avian styled marvel is really being aimed. Its size 7 thruster suite and impressive jump range, coupled with a fearsome arsenal backed up by a size 7 capacitor and voluminous cargo hold, all direct the new Imperial vessel down a path that leads very distinctly to fast, deadly and full of specific utility. Whilst it might be called multi-role, the Gutamaya Corsair is absolutely a hardcore, rootin' tootin', highfalutin', laser beam shootin' pirate through and through. That's not to say it isn't a solid, heavily armed trader, because it is. You could also probably go strip mining in it, although I haven't tried that specifically, but really just look at it, that's akin to digging up the road in a Porsche. In appearance, outfitting and literally by name, the Corsair is designed to identify a delicious target, mercilessly chase it down, comfortably outpace its hapless prey and then relieve it of its lunch money and probably its existence shortly thereafter. With moderate and obvious engineering it'll happily boost to around 600 meters a second. The Supercruise Overcharge is a little thirstier on fuel than some of the ship's more obvious prey animals, but absolutely not so much as to make it impractical. It also runs fairly cool. I've been comfortably fuel scooping next to a star without too much to worry about. Handling wise, FDev have described it as being on rails and featuring some very low drift dynamics. I'm happy to attest to that being the case, whilst that on rails handling does lead to some somewhat uninteresting and very predictable flight mechanics, that is very much on brand for the Corsair's requirement for deadly efficiency. It will go wherever you point the very significant and somewhat aesthetically divisive beak, and given its apparent career choice, that's a good thing. Unlike the Clipper, Gutamaya's new Conky Death Penguin houses all its hardpoints centrally on the hull and not out on the wings. With suitable outfitting, there will likely be no requirement for any gimbaled weaponry, which only adds to its bird of prey like hunting efficiency. With all that said, the Corsair isn't an easy win button in every regard, and the ship is stronger in a straight line than it is in a turn. The ship's aesthetics are likely to be somewhat Marmite, to use an English expression. You'll either love it or hate it. I have to say that in my time with the ship I have grown to appreciate its somewhat unusual design choices more than I did at first sight, and I say that as someone who leans heavily into the more industrial and utilitarian designs of the House of Lakon. The glass canopy style cockpit affords a comfortable dorsal view when in combat, and I didn't find the supporting superstructure inlaid into the bubble canopy to be restrictive in any fashion. Particularly if you're using head tracking or VR, the straight up view through the top of the cockpit is quite the opposite in fact. Since the next gen's early days of the Python Mark II, Frontier have gotten really good at adding extra details and moving parts to their paid ships' exteriors, and the Corsair, continuing that trend, doesn't disappoint. In keeping with FDev's more recent ship additions and ship kits, the Corsair features pop-up headlights and some really neat lighting touches on the vessel's copious and accessible, if not actually usable, entrance ramp. The wing-mounted engine nacelles feature spinning interior components when the ship is in flight, and you'll also see the aerospikes at the rear of all the engines extend and retract in reaction to changes in thrust. Similarly, as the ship manoeuvres, the feathered faces lining the engine exhaust points also move. The Corsair goes into ARX powered early access on Tuesday the 8th of April. Typically, new ship releases are 16,520 ARX for the base unlock or 33,000 ARX for the Stellar Edition, which is A rated and features a ship kit and paint job. How you feel about the Corsair is very much going to be driven by your own personal tastes, more so with this vessel than any of the previous new ships. The Gutamaya Corsair is almost certainly one of the more divisive of FDev's next gen ships, both in terms of its appearance and its utility. As I mentioned, it is being pitched by FDev as a multi-role ship, but unlike the Cobra line of vessels, the reality is that the Corsair has a much more clearly defined and task specific role in mind for itself. As such, being a larger trading vessel caught in its sights must be a very unpleasant place to be. Two of them in a wing would likely be fairly unstoppable, but I would be curious to see how one or two would fare when faced with smaller, more nimble adversaries. Are you planning on picking up a Gutamaya Corsair in early access? If you are you planning to use it as a pirate vessel or something else entirely? And what ship would you like to see from Frontier next after the Corsair's release? Let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe to the channel so that you see all our videos and community posts, and if you'd like to support our work here at the Buur Pit, you can also join us on Patreon. Links to that and everything else we've talked about in this video you'll find linked below. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. We very much look forward to seeing you next time. Rootin', lootin', tootin', shootin', fruitin', boopin', spootin', chootin', floopin'.
Stop that.
Sorry. Fruit loopin' poopin'.
Stop it.
Sorry.